What's up, guys? This is Taking the Field with Stevie Mack, a lacrosse talk podcast. Now, this episode also airing on DetroitTitans.com, and the reason being my guest on this episode is Detroit Mercy men's lacrosse senior Paul Manuszak. Paul, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Steven. Excited.
All right, so just to jump right into it here on this episode, tell us a little bit about your background in lacrosse prior to Detroit Mercy. Like, how and when did you really get into playing the sport of lacrosse?
Okay. So it all started, I guess, well, I was young. My older brother played lacrosse when he was in high school. He was 14 years older than me. So we had like lacrosse sticks just laying around the house. Sometimes I'd pick them up, but my three sports, like growing up until like fifth grade, was basketball, football, and baseball. And then in fifth grade, I played baseball, realized that I didn't really enjoy it. It was pretty slow compared to football and basketball. So I decided in sixth grade to play lacrosse, and I really liked it, obviously. Then I kept playing sixth, seventh, eighth grade at St. Lawrence in Utica. And then I went on to De La Salle High School in Warren, Michigan. And I played all 4 years there. So yeah, really, really enjoyed lacrosse. I still continued to play basketball and football, and then also tennis in high school. So.
Okay, and that's definitely something I've noticed when talking to other lacrosse people around the lacrosse community. They always seem to have played several different sports growing up, and then all of a sudden, as they get a little bit older, they tend to gravitate more towards lacrosse. So I think that's definitely a big thing, especially like I said, across the lacrosse community, is having that involvement in other sports. So now, when you're not playing lacrosse, what are some things that you like to do, sort of like hobbies or other interests that you like to pursue?
Right now, it's kind of just all lacrosse in school. I'm in like the mechanical engineering major. So like that takes up a lot of my time. But I guess when I was growing up, one of the things that I did when I wasn't playing sports is I started playing the violin when I was like 10 years old. My oldest brother, who I mentioned, 14 years older than me, he for Christmas actually bought me a violin when I was like 10 years old. And I started taking lessons, and I took lessons for about like 6 years. So kind of just did that when I was in middle school, high school. Recently, I've kind of just not been doing that a ton because of school and lacrosse, but I also like traveling and I guess going to Florida, being in the ocean, doing camping trips. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, now you mentioned right there you like to do a lot of traveling. That's something that when I spoke before with head coach Chris Cohen, we talked about some of the traveling you guys will do as a team this season, 7 road games. So you'll definitely get an opportunity to do a little bit of traveling this spring. So now we talked back in the fall, this is your last year at Detroit Mercy in a Titans uniform. So once the season's over and you've graduated, what do you hope to do into the future?
That's a pretty tough question. So I have a few options I'm considering right now. I guess one would be starting looking for work and potentially getting a mechanical engineering job, whether that be in Michigan, Florida, kind of open to wherever right now. Another thing I'm kind of considering is there's a thing called the Jesuit Mission Corps, and U of D Mercy is a Jesuit school, and it's kind of just like a volunteer corps that you can spend a year going to a different country, volunteering, helping people, I guess, learn like community values like faith. So like that interests me because my two older brothers kind of did something similar right after college. They both won in the Peace Corps. So I always kind of thought about that. And then I guess the third option, which I might try if given an opportunity, would be trying out for the PLL. I have to talk to Coach Charlie Hayes more about that, about like the whole like waiver process, because I'm not really familiar, but that would be another option that I'd be interested in. So those three right now are the top three. I'm not really sure what's going to happen when May comes around, so we'll see.
Right. Well, it sounds like you've definitely got some solid options there. So obviously, as the spring rolls on, you'll have some decisions to make there. But like I said, obviously, not really a bad decision either way you want to go there. One thing that when I talked with Coach Colin before in a previous episode, he did mention that he thinks that you and Brett Erskine do have some potential with potentially playing in the PLL in the future if you decide to go that route. So definitely something worth watching for people watching this episode this spring if you want to check the Titans out on ESPN Plus this spring. So we've talked a little bit about your background, kind of you outside the sport of lacrosse. Now let's get back on the field a little bit. And what can you tell us about this first matchup coming February 5th against the Ohio State Buckeyes?
It's going to be a tough game. It's in 2 days, so we're really preparing for it. I just got done with the film session, just going over all of their offensive personnel. So it's going to be an interesting game. We're pretty young this year, but that's fine. First 5 games are pretty tough, but I think we'll be up for the challenge. I think we'll do really well. But in terms of Ohio State, I guess some things that I'm focusing on is we've been talking about like their face-off guy. He's, I think, a senior. We're focusing on him, focusing on some of their experienced attackmen. But at the end of the day, honestly, it just comes down to how we execute. This week, we've been working a lot on our clearing drills, 6v6 defense, man up, man down. Pretty much everything, but yeah, it's gonna be interesting, but I'm really excited for this first game of my last year playing college lacrosse. I think, yeah, I'm really optimistic. I think we'll do very well. Hopefully we come out with a W.
Yeah, that face-off is definitely a position that I know talking to Coach Colin, he mentioned a few times there was a position to look out for in that game on Saturday. I'll definitely have to take some time to check that one out on Saturday at noon over on BTN Plus. Well, that'll do it for this episode of Taking the Field with Stevie Mac, also airing again on DetroitTitans.com. Make sure to like, comment, and share on this post wherever you get your podcasts, including Apple, Google, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and TuneIn, just to name a few. Paul, I want to thank you again for taking the time to join me.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's great.
And then lastly, make sure to stay tuned to Taking the Field with Stevie Mac again, wherever you get your podcasts, and DetroitTitans.com for all future episodes and lacrosse-related content on Detroit Mercy Titans.